Okay, voice research. Now, the voice that you choose for your audiobook is very, very important. Is very important. It's as important as choosing a cover. It's as important as choosing an editor. It's as important as finding the right agent or finding the right publisher. You want a voice that truly delivers on your manuscript, it truly delivers on your story. When you want to choose a voice for your narration, create a fresh project. It doesn't cost to create project, it doesn't cost anything. Create a fresh project and test different voices. Okay, so we've already published Blood Moons, and I already had a voice that I wanted to use, but this is how I went about it. So the first things first is because it's going to cost you to generate. You want to first of all just browse through the library of voices that we have. As you can see, currently we have over 100. Probably by the time you're watching this, we'll probably have way more because we're adding voices all the time, adding great voices all the time. So probably by the time you're watching this and the time you have an account, it's going to be more than 100 voices. But right now it's over 100 voices, and there's over 100 voices to choose from. And in the choose a narrator model, you can see we have the name of the narrator, the language, dialect. Is it American? Is it British? Is it Indian? Is it Australian? Is it Irish? Then we have the gender, male, female. We have the gender. Then we have the texture of the voice. Is it a pleasant voice? Is it a deep voice? Is it an old voice, middle-aged, confident, strong, slurred, intense, young, and so on and so forth. Southern flavored, and so on and so forth. And you can actually search. You can search for a voice based on language. Let's try Indian. All right, so these are Indian voices or voices. They are English voices rather, but spoken with an Indian dialect. Okay, so you can search by dialect. You can also search by gender. You can also search. Let's try old. Let's try young. Looking for only, sorry, young. Looking for only young voices. So it gives me all this. You can see in all the textures we have young, 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 young. All right. So once you have gone through the library and narrowed down the probable voices you would like to use for your novel, the next thing would be to bring actual portions of your novel into your project to test those voices. So I've narrowed down to 3 voices: Mark Lawson, Alex Brooks, and Edwin Carter. And I've also gone ahead to create 3 sections. They all have the same text. I want to see how they read the same text and choose from the three voices that I've chosen. So the next thing will be to generate actual content, audio content from the portion. I also kept it short so that I will only be spending 1 credit for this test. First, all right. Then for the second one, I think Lawson. And then for the third one, Edwin Carter. Edwin. Okay. So then we wait. So the narrations are back. Let's listen to Alex Brooks.
Chapter 1. The world had fallen to darkness since Johnny's return from school. There was no moon up in the sky, and the night was especially windy. In spite of this, there was a bonfire in the center of the small compound of their house. Well, it wasn't really a compound since there wasn't a fence surrounding the house.
All right, so that sounds nice. Let's look at Mark Lawson.
Chapter 1. The world had fallen to darkness since Johnny's return from school. There was no moon up in the sky, and the night was especially windy. In spite of this, there was a bonfire in the center of the small compound of their house. Well, it wasn't really a compound since there wasn't a fence surrounding the house.
And then finally, Edwin Carter.
Chapter 1. The world had fallen to darkness since Johnny's return from school. There was no moon up in the sky, and the night was especially windy. In spite of this, there was a bonfire in the center of the small compound of their house. Well, it wasn't really a compound, since there wasn't a fence surrounding the house.
Okay, so that's it. Of course, everybody's different. I mean, one may prefer Alex Brooks, another person may prefer Edwin Carter, another person may prefer Mark Lawson. But for this novel, I decided to go with Mark Lawson. So now that you have gotten your voice, Mark Lawson, then you can now go and begin to create your story. All right. And then, of course, once you create a new project, it goes into draft. But the moment you make an audio, once you make your first generation, it goes from draft to pending. So we see our story testing Wrath of Elijah pending. So you can go ahead and delete it because, I mean, we're not going to use it for anything. We've decided on the voice, Mark Lawson. But in case you forget the name of the voice, you can always go back to it and check. At the bottom, you will see the name of the name of the narrator. So for this chapter 1, the first one, it's Alex Brooks. The second one, it's Mark Lawson. And the third one, it's Edwin Carter. All right. So that's that.